So under the new GDPR, there are three actors, if you like: the data subject, the data controller, and the data processor. Starting with the data subject, that's any of us. Anybody whose data is being stored, collected, processed in any way is a data subject. And under GDPR, the data subject has a lot more rights than they had under the Data Protection Act. In particular, we all have the right to be informed of the fact that our data is being processed, why it's being processed, if it's being shared with anybody, and who that data is being shared with. If we look at the data controller is the organisation that is making decisions about what data is being collected from us, why, and how it's going to be used. In schools, that's normally the school themselves. The difference would be if you're a part of an academy trust, in which case it's usually the academy trust who is the actual data controller. And we often see schools argue that they're not the data controller because they don't make the decisions about what data to collect and what software to use and how that software processes our data. It's not true. At the end of the day, the school makes a decision about the software provider they use. You don't have to use that particular cashless caterer or that particular homework software or that particular management information system. The school makes that decision, and therefore it is the school, or indeed the academy trust, that is the data controller. Data controller has rights as well, but most importantly it has obligations. As a data controller, it's our duty to ensure that we're compliant. It's also our duty to ensure that any processors we use, any third-party systems such as our management information system, cashless caterers, homework software, behaviour software, etc., that they are also compliant with GDPR. Then we have the data processors themselves. These would be anybody who processes data on your behalf. So in school terms, yes, that's the obvious ones, the management information system and any software services that we use, such as cashless catering and library systems, etc. But it also means anybody else that we share that data with, the DFE, safeguarding agencies, the local authority. And don't forget the smaller people. If you've got a taxi company that collects your children, you'll be sharing data with them, the child's name, their parent's name, their address, etc. All of that personal data has to be protected, and so the taxi company also has to be GDPR compliant as well. Under the Data Protection Act, the controller had to be compliant, and the controller took all the liabilities for making sure everything was protected carefully. Under GDPR, both the data controller and the data processor are liable. They both have to be compliant with GDPR, they're both liable to protect the data, and they're both liable to any of the penalties, fines, enforcement notices under GDPR as well. And that's a good thing because it means that we're all in this together. Our suppliers have to be compliant, and that helps us to protect the data on the children, the parents and our staff within the school.